Hello, in this video, I would like to tell you some ideas or some tricks for you to do this week 5 assignment. Actually, I may give you some of the answers as well. Okay, so let's start. The first question, number 2. So you are going to tell whether the figures have reflection symmetry or not. It means that you have to answer yes or no. If yes, you have to draw the axis as well. For example, for 2b, if you place a mirror like this axis of symmetry, then you can see that the left hand side and the right hand side will coincide inside the mirror image. So this is called the axis of symmetry, and then you have to write yes as well. Okay, and then for part D, you may have more than one axis of symmetry and you have to use dotted lines to draw all of them. Okay, for part D, you can just draw all the 4 axes of symmetry, and please use ruler unless you can draw as excellent as I do. Okay, now look at 3b. I think this is the more challenging one among the 3. I suppose some people would think that the mirror image would look like this. However, it's not correct because the mirror is not a horizontal line. So for this question, I would suggest you to place your book or move your book a bit so that this line becomes vertical. So I hope you understand what I mean. 即係斜一斜本書，令到佢變成打戙嘅線啦。Things will become easier if you do so. So now you line by line, then you can just according to the mirror image, you draw it out. Okay, so you can see that my answer looks like this, and I think it is okay if the answer is not too ugly, but at least the scale should be quite similar to the original one. Try to use ruler to make a better image. For example, if the answer looks like this, then I think it is not acceptable. Now let's look at number 7. So for 7a, it asks you for rotational symmetry and also the minimum angle of rotation. To do this type of question, we try to trace some certain points. For example, let's look at figure C. I try to trace this point and then I use the center as the center of rotation. So when I rotate this point along the center of rotation clockwise, for example, you can do anti-clockwise, it doesn't matter. Right, then you can see that this point will go to here, it repeats once, and then goes to here, it repeats another time, and then altogether it repeats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including itself. Okay, so you can see that there are 5 times that, or 5 folds that it repeats itself. It means that the order is 5 and the angle of rotation is 360 degrees divided by 5, which is 72 degrees. In fact, this is the minimum angle of rotation. Why I say so? Because 72 degrees, it will repeat itself, but actually 144 degrees, 216 degrees, 288 degrees, it will also repeat itself. So it is only the minimum angle of rotation, but this is not the unique angle of rotation. So you now can find all of them and then you can answer both questions. For 7b, it only asks you for highest order, so actually the same thing. So you can calculate all the 4 and then you can judge which one has the lowest, which one has the highest. Then you can answer both questions easily. For number 11, I think the idea is just the same as previous questions. Okay, so I will only show you how to do figure F. Okay, so for this questions, what you need to do is to draw the axis of symmetry and then you answer which one. It means that on the line here, you have to tell me which one. It means figure A, B, C, or whatever have the reflectional symmetry, and then for part B you also have to answer figure what, and also for part B you have to answer the order of rotational symmetry. For example, you have to answer figure F and then colon, which is 4 because it is a square. Okay, so after you answer this question is not yet the end because you have to draw as well. Okay, so for figure F you have to place the dotted lines here in order to finish these questions, and then for part B you also have to mark the cross. Okay, so you try to mark across here like this, so at least I can see that you know it, and then this is finished. Also, you try to do for the remaining figures if it has reflection symmetry or rotational symmetry. It may have some figure that it doesn't have any one of them, so you can just leave it blank. Okay, for number 19, the figure repeats itself after rotation of every 30 degree. It means that if I have a trace point here, when it rotates by 30 degree, it will coincide with another point, and then it will move for another 30 degree, another 30 degree, and so on. Okay, so in one round angle, there are 360 degree, so you can find out the order of the rotational symmetry to be 360 degree over 30 degree, and then you have to make sure that you write the title clearly. Don't just write 12, don't just write the expression here. You have to write the title equals. This is very basic presentation requirement. Look at part B now. Whether the figure will repeat itself, it just depends on whether this number is a multiple. Okay, so what's meant by multiple? In Chinese, it is 倍數. Or if it is a multiple of 30 degree, then it will repeat itself. Otherwise, the figure will be different. Okay, so how should you present the answers? You can write something like this. You can claim 210 degree equals to 30 degree times 7. So it means that it is a multiple, and then you can draw the conclusion yourself. I don't give you the answer now. And then for part B2, you can just say 320 degree is not a multiple of 30 degree, and then you can claim the conclusion. Okay, so this is how you present the answer. Please follow this. Let's move on to number 5 from exercise 8.2. So in this question, you need to draw the image. Also for simple translation, I think this is actually quite easy as long as you can do that point by point. Also in this figure, there are actually a lot of points. So you try to trace the points here to the right by 4 units and then downwards by 3 units. So you can put the point here. Okay, and then for another point, for example, you take this point, go to the left by 4 units, and then go down by 3 units. You can put the point here as well, and you can join them, and you can obtain a certain correct line. Okay, so now you can already draw a correct line. And should you actually do for every point here like this? For this point, you can do it by drawing the figure 4 units to the right, 3 units downwards, and then you can put the point here. Of course, it is a very safe method, but if you are smart enough, of course you can do it in a relative way. It means that you take this point, and then you know that it is 1 unit to the right, 1 unit downwards for the relative point here, and then you can just draw the remaining figure using this idea. Of course, that's fine. Now let's look at number 6. This is a question which asks you to write in word description. So it is actually quite hard. You have to write precisely how it is translated. Okay, so the keywords are translated to the right or left, upwards or downwards by how many units. Okay, so how should you write? The format should look like this. Okay, so you can just fill in the blanks like this. Also, how should you think about this diagram? From P to Q, it has gone through 2 movements, 5 units to the right and then upwards by 8 units. Okay, so you can just follow the opposite direction and you can fill in the blanks yourself. Okay, let's look at number 7. This time you have to draw the images by reflecting about a line. So let's look at part B. I think it would be a little bit challenging if you do not know how to trace the points. Okay, so for drawing this figure, it may not be so easy. So I try to trace each point and then I join the points after reflecting about it. Okay, so by tracing this point, for example, like this point, I draw the perpendicular line to the dotted line, perpendicular line, and then we copy the same distance to the other side, and then I can draw the image point. And then for this point, for example, I can also draw the points here. Of course, you do not need to draw the blue lines like what I do now, but this helps you try how to trace the image points. For example, after you trace some of the points, then I think you can just join them up. and then you can complete the remaining part yourself. I don't give you the answer. Now let's look at number 11. It is a question that you need to write in words. So I have to give you the format first, and then you try to fill in the blanks. Okay, so the format would look like this. How to describe? You have to write like triangle ABC is rotated. So for here, what should you fill in? You can fill in either clockwise or anti-clockwise. About what? About a certain center of rotation. Okay, you can see that from ABC, after you rotate to the image, which is the shaded figure here, so you can go to an anti-clockwise direction or you can go to the clockwise direction, but the answer may be different. Also, it is moving about the center of rotation, which is A, because you can see that A doesn't move at all. Okay, so you try to fill in the blanks yourself. For part B, I think it is quite challenging, so I try to guide you into how to think about the answers of that. You can see that the original figure is A, B, C, D, E, F, and after the rotation, it becomes the shaded figure. The hardest part is the center of rotation. So which point should it be? Of course, it will at the very center of this diagram, which is this point. Wait, but which point is it? It is not E, it is not D. So how should you describe this point? We say that this is the midpoint of the line segment ED or midpoint of ED. So this is the challenging part of this question. Why do I know that this is the center of rotation? Because it is at the very center of this figure, and also you can see that when you join F to the other point here, this is actually the midpoint of this line. Okay, so how should we write in words? We write A, B, C, D, E, F, which is the original polygon, is rotated. Okay, so actually you should write clockwise or anti-clockwise. However, you can see that this time it is by 180 degree. It means that no matter you go in clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, it will still be 180 degree. So for this very special case, we do not need to write clockwise or anti-clockwise. So we just need to write about which point. Okay, so the answer would look like this. Okay, so if you watch the video seriously, of course, I don't mind you just copy the answer into your own assignment. Okay, but make sure you understand what I write here. Okay, for number 12, it is not a very hard question, but you have to look at the question carefully. It means that the figure is rotated 3 times consecutively, anti-clockwise about through 90 degrees. Well, first of all, you have to understand what's meant by anti-clockwise. It looks like that. Okay, so you try to draw the figure like this, something like that. I don't draw exactly for you. After you draw it, you can see that there is another time, so you can draw another one. Okay, so after 3 times, you can obtain the logo, and that is the answer. Okay, for part B, does it have reflectional symmetry? If it does, then you tell the number of axial symmetry. I don't think I have to tell you anything about this question. Try to do yourself. Okay, so for the extra questions, I don't give you any hints. You can try to do yourself. If you have any question, don't hesitate to find me. I'm always here for supporting you. Goodbye.